Unlike the shopping carts you see in mall parking lots, which are filled with new toys, food, and fancy items, some shopping carts you see on our streets are filled with personal belongings, blankets, and beans. If you are a thoughtful editorial photographer and artist like Brian Howell, shopping carts make fascinating art. Howell has an exhibition at Vancouver's Windsor Gallery called Shopping Carts. It is my pleasure to welcome Brian Howell to Studio 4 to tell us more.
Hello.
So, an award-winning editorial photographer decides to take pictures of shopping carts. Mm-hmm. What prompted that?
Well, working editorially, I've always done projects alongside of my magazine, newspaper work. I've always had a project that usually turned into a book or an exhibition. Mm-hmm. So this was just another one of those projects, and it developed through doing some research before the Olympics and some shooting looking at the city in transition pre-Olympic. And so I had worked with another artist, with Paul Wong, doing he was doing a series of installations. So I went out photographing the city very informally. I had drawn the Olympic rings on the city. Mm-hmm. And took these strolls and was confronted one day with a shopping cart that a man had just sort of abandoned on the sidewalk. And I looked into it and thought, wow, you know, this is there's no blankets, there's no pillows, there's no suitcases. It's just sort of random household items and a bike frame and things that were obviously going to be for sale or repurposed. Mm-hmm.
So he was an entrepreneur of sorts.
Yeah, yeah. He was out collecting, mining, almost like a bird.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So when you approached him or another and said, I'm an artist, I'd like to buy your shopping cart, or I'd like to take a picture of it, or what?
Well, this happened quite accidentally, too. It was Father's Day, and we were driving in West Van along Marine Drive. I was with my wife and my kids, and we have a van, and we're driving along, and I saw this guy pushing this cart with a photograph. It looked like an advertising type photograph of a woman's face sticking out of the cart. This is a giant face. So I said to my wife, I gotta talk to that guy. So because I'd already, I'd had this experience with this other project, and I'd been thinking about this. So I thought, well, we pulled over, and I went up to the guy, and I said, if I told him what I was doing, I said, if I wanted to photograph this, how would a person go about doing this? Do I need a studio? What do we need to do? And he said, well, you can just buy it off me for $20. And I said, oh, okay. So then I looked at my wife, and she's going, no, that's not coming in here. So anyway, we put it in the van. And,
I see, $20 later?
Yeah, $20 later, and a bit of a conversation. And I sort of got a sense from this guy that, there were no personal items in these carts, and that they were... they didn't really have any kind of connection to the items in the carts. They were for sale.
And it really has deeper meaning, this show, because it's when you throw something away, what exactly do we mean by away? I don't know if you said that or Douglas Copeland said that, but I throw something away, somebody else picks it up.
Yeah.
We're all garbologists of a sort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Doug referred to that in his essay. I think, particular parts of the city in the West End and Kitsilano, people just place things almost as a goodwill gesture, which is also a form of littering.
Sure.
They just place things by the curb, and they know that these people will come by and pick it up.
And they're fast. At my house, like we seem to have a few wine bottles, and the minute they're out, they're gone.
They're gone, yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, What happens, though, is it starts to speak less about the binners in particular, more about what they've collected, so more of what sort of the society on a larger scale has thrown away or has decided to offer the collectors.
Yes, and you showcased some of the people, too. There was the Best Buy cart, which belonged to Leonard, right? And you kind of strapped it all together with bungee cords and things like that, and you bought it for $60.
Yeah.
How do you determine the price?
He set the price.
Okay.
Leonard was a guy that I had met. I bought a card off him before, it didn't quite work well as a picture, so we didn't use that card in the exhibition. But the last cart that I found off him was just absolutely stunning. It was a giant blue box that was for a 46-inch flat screen TV. Which, you know, if you drive around the city, you see abandoned TVs everywhere, the old style TVs. So,
do you have a favorite cart in the exhibition? Oh, there's the blue.
That's Leonard's cart right there.
Do we have a picture of this? I'm not sure if we do, but there it is. Yeah. Oh, there it is. We have one.
Yeah.
And that's Leonard's.
That's Leonard's. Yeah. So you can see that, you know, the TV box and then the skis, the cross-country skis sticking through it.
And the binner, George, I think it was George, no, James, he scrounged a lot of wire, copper wire.
Yeah, you know, so they would grab the wire and then repurpose it, strip it, and then the copper, of course, is valuable. So it's
how big are these?
How big are the prints?
Yes, the prints.
The wire one that just flashed up was 44 by 60, so almost 4 feet by 5 feet roughly.
They're beautiful. I mean, you wouldn't think a picture of a shopping cart with a horse blanket over it, or, you know, would be beautiful, but they really are. They're stunning. Yeah,
well, I looked at a lot of these. I mean, I bought 45 of them, and I looked at hundreds of them, and so I was responding to ones that I liked as a form of composition, as a form of sculpture. So I got quite picky in the end, and if you look hard, you can find some very interesting ones for sure.
Was there a part of the city where the best carts were? Because you were all over, really, from Denman Street to Columbia Street.
Yeah, and Surrey. I mean, there were carts that you know, they gather on Hastings Street, sort of you know, around in the 0 to 100 block, and that's where everything is sold. But a lot of these people I would kind of catch on their way there before. So some of the carts are very formal. They're set up for display. You'll see things nicely arranged, like 3 pairs of jeans or 2 vacuums, you know. But they're on display. The people are kind of showing them off for sale.
I'm sure you had really interesting discussions with the people who are the binners.
Yes and no.
Or did you?
It was you know,
negotiating with them.
There was really no negotiation. I mean, it became, I liken it to if you're having a garage sale and someone showed up at your garage sale, they were the first person there in the morning, said, I'm going to take everything, I'm going to take it away, and I'm going to pay you double. And it was that.
You say, okay, deal.
Yeah, so there was no real negotiation after they set the price. We just wheeled it. I had an old van with a ramp, and we put it in the van and took off.
Did people refuse to give you their shopping carts in some cases? Just say, no, not interested, I think you're crackers.
Well, they kind of looked at me kind of funny. You know, but they were, I can say, through doing journalistic work, it's really hard to photograph people, and people are always suspect of you photographing them. They were definitely relieved that I didn't want a picture of them. And 45 out of 47 said yes.
But much of their life is in this cart.
None of their life is in the cart.
None of their life is in the cart. Their life is in them. But do you know what I mean? It could be their bad,
Well, this is it. This is a bit of a misconception. None of the people that I bought carts off were actually homeless. So
so they were capitalists, really. Entrepreneurial people collecting bottles and wires and things like that to sell.
Absolutely. So there's no personal items in there. And if there was a backpack or something, I'd always insist that they took their personal items. And yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people view people who are pushing these things around as they're pushing around the last few items of their home. And there are a lot of misconceptions about homelessness. You know, we view it as a, you know, perhaps a poverty issue numero uno, and it's not necessarily the case.
Well, sometimes it's a choice, and as you know, you have your little home set up, be it in Stanley Park or whatever it is. You don't have to haul your home around in your shopping cart. You just earn some money by doing that. Tell me about the Famous project.
Famous was, you know, I started looking, like working in journalism and finding stories and finding situations that would lead me to these projects. And in the case of Famous, I noticed that there was less space for what I would call important stories in newspapers and magazines, and more space devoted to celebrity news. So I wanted to do something.
You noticed that, did you?
Well, yeah. My paycheck started to. So I noticed, yeah, I did notice that, and I wanted to do something that, you know, would sort of speak to that. And just on a fluke, I was photographing an Elvis impersonator convention or Elvis impersonator competition, and there was a Marilyn Monroe impersonator there, and I thought, well, I didn't know there were Marilyn Monroe impersonators. And then soon after that, I found that there's an impersonator for just about every famous person.
Celebrity impersonators, musical impersonators, Neil Diamond, the Beatles, on and on. So that's Celebrity Impersonators, that project. And the One Ring Circus, wrestlers, pro wrestlers, really?
Yeah, local pro wrestlers. I don't know if they've ever been on your show.
No.
But I spent...
you need a big chair for that guy.
Yeah, Chichak the Warrior. I spent a lot of time following these guys around and just sort of working in a different way than I'd worked editorially for the first time. So these projects all sort of started to grow. You know, Famous grew out of One Ring Circus, and then this most recent project grew out of that.
And what's the next project, or do you know?
I know, but I can't say right now.
It's the secret?
It's a big secret.
The big secret. Of all the projects so far, do you wrestle? Was it what?
I don't
you
wrestle.
Don't wrestle?
I did some wrestling. The guys got me in the ring a few times just to show me what it was like, and I think I got a concussion.
But so that didn't spark it. It was just the interest in the idea of somebody who pro wrestles, or what?
Well,
like what was the nub of it?
The nub of that was, you know, again, working in journalism, getting assigned to go shoot something and seeing, you know, when I went in to photograph my first wrestling show, I was looking around going, am I the only photographer here? Because this is unbelievable material. So, and it just became an interesting sort of project to look at how the wrestlers intersect with a community that follows them. And it very much was a community.
Right, because it's a creative expansion. It's the artist in you. Yes, you have to work and make a living. You take pictures for magazines.
Yeah.
But also the artist in you says, there's more here.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not a new thing within editorial. I mean, photographers, there are great photographers who've always worked editorially. You know, people like Richard Avedon, you know, he would shoot.
Annie Leibovitz.
Yeah, so these are people who can do both. I mean, you know, I think there's some really hard, fast rules or distinctions or categories that people get put into, and I try not to do that with my work. And I used to work exclusively in black and white, and I've changed all that up, and now I don't have any rules. I don't put any sort of...
Oh, I'm glad you have changed all that up. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you.
Likewise.
Shopping carts at the Windsor Gallery until April 30th, right?
Yeah.
On Granville Street. Brian Howell, our guest.